what you want, when you want it, where you want it. This is The Mesh. Footcandle Films. Film reviews and discussion from two guys who really like movies. This episode is brought to you by the Footcandle Film Society. Do you enjoy seeing interesting movies that you may not see anywhere else? Taking part in discussions about those films and live in Western North Carolina? Then you need to come be a part of the Footcandle Film Society. For a schedule of upcoming screenings and membership information, visit the Society's website at www.footcandle.org.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Footcandle Films. This is our second episode, so we've got it completely mastered at this point. Is that right, Chris?
Sure.
We got past the first episode jitters. Everything's good now. So this should be just smooth as silk. I'm expecting no flub-ups, no mistakes.
You're going to be blown away by the professionalism.
The quality has improved significantly.
Definitely.
Let's just say from 1 to 2. So we're welcome. Glad to have you here. This is Footcandle Films. I'm Alan. This is Chris.
Hello.
Here with the Footcandle Film Society. And we're here to review a film that we actually just saw just this last night. So we're going to talk about one key film, get into a little bit of movie news, and end with some of our own recommendations of films we think you may want to check out. So let's get started. First thing we're going to be doing is giving our review of the film Everything Must Go.
Bro, I'll give you $10 for that twack right there.
Aren't you a little young to be drinking beers?
Aren't you a little old to be drinking that Slurpee there?
Hi, are you in there? If you are, can this happen another day?
So are you getting rid of your old stuff?
I got fired from my job, and my wife left me.
If I'm honest, I saw this coming a mile away.
Thanks for warning me.
Will Farrell, star of such films as Winter Passing and Woody Allen's Melinda and Melinda, has a new movie, Everything Must Go, which is the story of a relapsing alcoholic, Nick Halsey, played by Mr. Farrell, who loses his job and gets thrown out of his house and then decides to have a yard sale in his front lawn. Okay, so if you're having trouble placing this newcomer, he was also in Elf, Old School, Anchorman, and Talladega Nights.
Oh, right. Okay,
Right.
Yeah, I see where you're going with that. Got it.
So my question for you, Alan, is
Yes.
Does this dramatic turn from Mr. Farrell work for you, or does it need a little bit more cowbell?
Well, everything needs a little more cowbell. Okay. There's no
any
film can benefit by more cowbell. Of course, we're making references to the fact that, Mr. Farrell is quite the funny man. He's known for a lot of Saturday Night Live work and some very, very broad comedies, some great films, Anchorman, Talladega Nights, some fun stuff. And I'm a big fan of Will Ferrell's comedic work. The one film I was familiar with that he had done that was a little more in the dramatic tone was Stranger Than Fiction a few years ago, which I think is a really good movie. So you're asking me, did he match? I think so. I think he did fine with this.
Okay.
I really thought him playing a alcoholic, playing someone going through a really rock bottom part of his life, dealing with relationship issues, I thought it worked. I'd be lying if I didn't say that Will Ferrell as a personality can be a little distracting to watch a film like this, because I think you find yourself always wanting to see him say something funny.
Gotcha.
And when he doesn't, it's tough to reconcile that at times. It's tough to reconcile that, okay, he's not going for funny on this line. He's not going for funny on this delivery. Although, please understand, this film did have a lot of funny bits to it. There were some great lines. There was some great delivery. But ultimately, I think he pulled it off. It's just, it was a little distracting to see someone who has become so ingrained in my brain as being this broad comedian, where everything he says, you see the wheels turning, that he is finding a way to make it funny, to then play a part where half of what he says is not meant to be funny. It's a little tough to reconcile, but what did you think?
Well, I'm along the same lines. I'm a big fan of Will Ferrell as well, and I was looking forward to seeing him do a dramatic turn. But I must say, because it had elements of humor in it, I then found myself just wanting there to be more.
More humor?
More humor, yeah.
Okay.
And
even with the subject matter, though. I mean,
well, and that's the tough thing. The subject matter. I mean, alcoholism. So I thought they walked a good line of, having it be in there, but not using it as a comedic device. Not
Sure.
making fun of him
True.
falling down or doing all.
It never got ridiculous. It never got extreme like you could see in some much broader films.
Yeah, never the slapstick was never used for that whole. So that was good. But
Well, I like the fact too that even though the film deals with alcoholism, and yes, he does have his bouts with it during the course of the film.
Definitely.
It never got so melodramatic like you would see in some films where it's just this extreme. I'm drunk and I'm going to just act crazy and wild and be just so off the wall with it. They never went there, and I think that was really admirable. You could tell he was suffering, but yet it was never so obvious that it was just what you expect from a stereotypical film about alcoholism. So
yeah, I think they really went for realism, and that was that. Yeah, they didn't show you all these extremes, high and low, like him going on a rampage
Right,
or something.
exactly,
It was just
right.
very, down to earth, seeming played for realism, and that was good. So, I guess maybe I was expecting. Yeah, I guess because of that. I guess they couldn't put a lot of humor in there, but because they had a little bit, I felt like it should just all be melancholy and none of it be funny. So, in a way,
you're kind of leading me to my criticism of the film, though.
Okay.
Overall, I'll say I liked the film. I'm not going to say I loved it. I was a little let down by it, but I went in, I think, expecting it to be a pretty good film to begin with. So, my criticism, I think, is where you're kind of coming with it is. I'm getting a little, I guess, tired of some of the films that this one falls in the category of.
Such as?
Which are their smaller, independent, lower budget films that try to balance that fine line between comedy and drama. And you have some funny line deliveries, you have some funny scenes, but in the end, it's going to play the soft, melancholy music during some more dramatic times of the film, and you're going to have a lot of silent shots of people standing and drifting off and looking off into the sky and all that, in which this film had for the last 20 minutes.
Definitely.
Was a great deal of that.
Sure.
I just feel like it's getting too formulaic with some of these films where, hey, we've got a comedian and let's throw him into a pseudo-comedy drama and let's have him deliver some funny lines, but then let's also have him deal with some dramatic elements. And let's make it a little quirky and let's throw in some hip alternative acoustic music at the end. And there's a dramatic set piece for like the last 10, 15 minutes of the film, and then it kind of ends ambiguously. That's a formula I think a lot of films are falling into these days that we find ourselves watching. That was my only complaint with it, is I do think the end got very... I won't say predictable, but it went down the path I expected it to go down for this type of film. That's my criticism of it, is I just thought it could have done something a little different. It could have gone a little unique, and instead it went very common with this type of independent film.
Yeah, and I think kind of along those lines, the introduction of the situation, so let's say the first act, I thought was pretty strong. Mm-hmm. And then halfway through what you would consider, I guess, to be the second act of the film, the action kind of waned. You kind of knew where it was going. And then the entire third act, which would be the last 20 minutes or so of the film, it just really, nothing was really there for me. I was kind of, not looking at my watch, but kind of just like, okay.
No, it never got boring, and it never got frustrating to watch. It was just, it didn't really do anything the last 20 minutes of the film. I think you and I are kind of on the same page with this.
Sounds like it.
I overall liked the film. I did like Will Farrell in the role. I liked all the parts in the film, actually. I thought Rebecca Hall did a great job. Much smaller role than I expected. I thought she was going to be kind of the second lead in the film, and her role is much smaller than I thought. Laura Dern, who played a great part, is in there really for one scene, but it is a very good scene.
It's pretty good.
Stephen Root played the kind of an awkward neighbor, and I thought he had a very, very small but good part. It's all very small parts, and I think even one of our audience members last night made the comment that Will Farrell is in every scene of this film, maybe except for one or two.
Yeah, and there was a really quick...
Really short... I mean, every scene is him. So this is all his film. There's nobody else that really registers even a bigger blip activity-wise on the screen than he does. But the smaller bit parts that we did have, I thought were all really well done. So
yeah, you got to give a word to Christopher Jordan Wallace, who played, I guess, if you're going to say a second supporting actor, it would be the kid.
That's true. Yeah, actually, you're right. He probably had the second most screen time of anybody.
And I thought he was amazing, and I thought it was cool that he's Biggie Smalls' son. So Notorious
Is
B.I.G.
he really?
Yeah, which I think he actually looks a lot like him too.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
Okay, well, he plays Will Farrell, the main character, is kind of a confidant after a while. He plays and manages his yard sale and becomes the salesman for the yard sale, which is all done really well. I thought that the whole experience between Farrell's character and Kenny. The young kid, their dynamic was great. I think just that very strange father-son relationship they developed over the course of the film, especially how it ties into sales and just passing along that knowledge was really well done.
What'd you think about Michael Pena, who played Will Ferrell's friend and sponsor in AA, apparently?
I thought it was a very slight role. I think I didn't notice anything extraordinary. It was a very straightforward performance for me. Nothing really registered as being great or bad or anything with it. So
something to me, I mean, it was a very small role, but something to me seemed a little off. I didn't know if it just didn't seem as authentic or I don't know. Something about it just seemed kind of, I guess in a way, kind of cardboard. I mean, it was a small role.
It was a
cardboard
very static, not a lot of range on that role. Right. Absolutely. And this is the first time director too, which I thought was interesting. Are you familiar at all with the short story it's based on? No. I like the writer of Raymond Carver. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay. But I'm not familiar with the short story at all. And actually, Dan Rush, the director, he adapted it. He wrote the film, but based it on the short story. And yeah, I guess maybe that's the problem is you took the short story and you didn't add enough meat to really justify kind of a third act. It could have almost been a short film or something. True. And I think that's the problem. But, hey, first-time director and writer. So, it wasn't bad, but I think a more established director and maybe would have added some more meat to the bones of the movie and made it an excellent film as opposed to just a good film. Yeah. The concept is great. I mean, of course, it's in case we didn't really recap it, a gentleman ends up basically living out in his front yard and putting on a yard sale for his items as a way of kind of cleansing his life to some degree after all the turmoil he'd been going through. The concept is great, and I think the time where we really focus on him living in his front yard and what he's going through emotionally was great. It's when it started to kind of get outside of the yard, I think I lost a little bit of interest towards the end. So that was kind of an interesting way it was set up there. But overall, we're both saying it's a good film. Yeah. Not a great film. Not anything we're going to go out and sing his praises left and right, but it was a good enough film. And I would say, too, that hopefully it'll get Will Farrell more work as far as dramatic roles, as well as comedic roles, which he'll probably always have plenty of. But I look forward to seeing, hopefully, I guess, his version of Good Will Hunting. Robin Williams was a comedian, and and he had a serious role, and he did really well. So, I think that's out there for Will Farrell. I think a serious role for him that he'll get a lot of accolades is out there. I see it in his future, so I look forward to that someday. Very interesting. All right, so Everything Must Go. It is out in some select theaters right now as we're recording this. I don't know how wide the release really went. I know it's just really gone to a lot of bigger cities right now. And I'm sure it'll be on DVD or Netflix here in probably the next 4 to 5 months as well. So I encourage you to check it out if you get a chance and happen to have it showing near you. And definitely keep it on your radar for when it comes out on DVD in the near future. So, Chris, we ready to move on to some movie news? Sure. I get excited about this because my job with the movie news is either to try to stump Mr. Frye with movie news he's not familiar with and get his reaction, or bring him into areas that maybe his comfort zone don't take him. And that's kind of where I'm heading today. Excellent. During the Footcandle Films, this has just been our second episode, so we're still kind of learning the ropes a little bit here. But in the first 2 episodes, we've talked about 2 films that may feature some big actors and big names, but are still smaller movies. Okay. Our recommendations. I kind of know what your recommendations are going to go this week, and I think you know mine as well. They're both also going somewhat smaller on the size scale. Okay. So let's turn to movie news that may be a little bigger in scope on terms. So this is what I call, how much does Chris know about big blockbusters coming out in the next year? Okay. So here we go. I'm going to talk about 3 films that have gotten a lot of buzz lately, or they're either putting out trailers or some interesting production notes to it. And I just want to kind of get your feel on where you feel like you fall in the interest scale on these films in general. Sure. All right. And they're all 3 franchises as well, so that even makes it a little more interesting. Okay. So first film, the next Mission Impossible film. Okay. It's called Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol, starring Mr. Cruise once again. So he is reprising his role. And director Brad Bird, which I'm personally curious about. For those not aware, Mr. Bird is a animation director traditionally. Directed The Iron Giant, directed The Incredibles. I believe also did Ratatouille.
I think so, yeah.
So this is his first live action film. And not only does it star Tom Cruise, but also Mr. Jeremy Renner from Hurt Locker and a few other films as well. So with that, Chris, interest level, high, low, couldn't care less, what?
I guess maybe a medium.
Medium, okay.
Yeah, but
That's
you know,
all right.
in general, I did like the third Mission Impossible.
The third one, that was J.J. Abrams'
Correct.
film. Yeah.
Correct. But in general, I guess I'm tired of, who isn't, I guess, tired of Tom Cruise. So he would not be a reason to go see it. Fourth Mission Impossible, not a reason. But Brad Bird doing his first live action. Okay. You know, that could be interesting.
Sure.
Jeremy Renner, I do like him. He was really good in The Hurt Locker. I'll be interested to see, do we know what role is he playing, like the bad guy? Like,
I don't believe so.
Philip Seymour
I think
Hoffman
he's
did?
playing. I think he's playing another agent alongside
Okay.
Ethan Hawke. No, not Ethan Hawke. What am I
That'd be
saying?
funny. Tom Cruise.
Who was Tom Cruise's character? It's Ethan Hunt.
Ethan,
Hunt.
yes.
Ethan Hawke. Sorry, Mr. Hawke. I didn't mean to imply you're in this film. No, I think he's playing another agent alongside Tom Cruise's character. I don't think he's the bad guy. I don't actually remember who's the bad guy in this one. So, okay. Well, I just want to gauge your interest there. Let's go ahead.
I would say, too, I don't know how involved Brad Bird was with the script of any of his other films.
I think he's very involved with a lot of his other scripts. Now, this one, I don't think he is.
Oh,
I don't think he's. I could be wrong. Now, I do. J.J. Abrams is executive producing.
Oh,
so there is still some involvement there
Okay.
with the people from the third film.
Okay, because I know that usually Abrams has a lot to do with script and stuff, too, in addition to directing. So that's why I thought the third one was good. So if he's still kind of around for the fourth
gives you a
one,
little
then,
interest there, huh?
Yeah.
Okay. I personally love the spy genre. I really liked the first and the third Mission Impossible. Did not like the second one at all, the John Woo film.
No?
But I love the third one. I thought the third one was a great spy, espionage, team-based, the actual Mission Impossible team as opposed to just being Tom Cruise running around. I liked it. I liked it a lot. If they can carry that over to the fourth one, and I'm a big fan of Brad Bird's work as well, this could be a fun ride. So, great. Cool. Number 2, a little different, The Muppets. What do you know about the new Muppets film? You've been following it much? You hear much about it?
I know that, what's the guy from...
Jason Segel?
Yes, thank you. Jason Segel. I know that he is in it.
He's a star, and actually he's a producer and writer
And he
for the
wrote,
film as well,
right,
which is
right.
what I wanted to kind of toss out to you. They're trying to kind of bring the Muppets back into a little more of today's culture and get us a little more in the forefront. And I think also kind of take it back to more of its a little more adult tone, it's undertone anyway. Not to say it's going to be not a kids movie. It's still a kids movie.
But it'll probably be PG as opposed to G.
Well, it could be, and also it's just got that back to that. They're trying to get it back to that original Muppets humor where adults could enjoy it just as much as the kids.
Sure.
I think they got away from that with some of the later films. I mean, my kids have seen them, but I could care less about anything I've seen.
On Muppet Treasure
filmed.
Island?
Yeah,
Oh.
exactly. And Christmas movie and all that.
Muppets in Space?
But getting back to kind of that original feel of the Muppets, which was always more of a little more contemporary, a little more adult Sesame Street in a way. But we do have Jason Segel, both writing, starring, and producing it as well.
That's a good sign.
Yeah, Amy Adams is in it as well.
She plays his
I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't really know much about the plot or anything.
romantic
but
interest or spouse.
does it
or
really
something.
matter? Does
No.
plot really matter in a film like this?
No.
It's a bunch of puppets. Okay,
Right.
it's going to be good.
Well,
right?
and a bunch of puppets that are hopefully going to be kind of like they were in Forgetting Sarah Marshall, where he does that whole musical with Dracula.
Oh, that's right. Yes.
Yeah. So if the Muppets are handled like the Dracula musical was in Forgetting Sarah Marshall, I'm so there. It's not even funny. I mean,
Okay,
it's
I
because
forgot
that
all
was
about that.
awesome. Forgetting Sarah Marshall, fun movie. The whole end part with the Dracula musical was
That was good.
Awesome.
You're right. I forgot all about that. So he's had some experience with puppets.
Oh, yeah.
Singing puppets before.
Yes.
Good. That bodes well.
Yes.
That does bode very well. I'm personally excited about it. I'm looking forward to a good movie that I can take my kids to and me personally enjoy it as well. I'm getting a little sick of some of the kids' films that I have to go to and that they just don't speak as much on the adult level as I think some of the other ones could.
Speaking of that, and I think probably the reason why you may be getting sick of it, what was the last non-animated kids movie that you saw with your kids that you actually liked?
Boy, I couldn't even remember one. I mean, we've gone to see some of the superhero movies and whatnot, but I don't really consider those kids films.
Sure.
So I
It's
guess
not their
kids
target.
film? No, it's all been animated.
And I think that's the problem is you're just so inundated with it that it has to be pretty much a Pixar production for you to even wake up out of your
True.
animation coma to realize that it's good.
Yeah. So I'm excited about the Muppets. Bring out the kid in me. I was a Muppets fan growing up as a kid, so this should be fun. Looking forward to it. All right, last one on the mainstream train here.
Okay.
And this is kind of the big one. And sorry, as we already mentioned superheroes a second ago, but Dark Knight Rises coming out next year, 2012. This is the third, supposedly final film of the Christopher Nolan Batman trilogy.
Going to be sorry to see him go.
Yeah. And, Dark Knight was made like $1 bajillion or something. Well, I don't remember the exact number, but tons of money it made. It was a huge hit. And also critically acclaimed, too. I mean, got a lot of good reviews.
Well, and how much of that was sympathy because of Heath Ledger's departure?
Yeah, could be. But overall, it was still a really good movie.
Oh, I thought it was.
I still preferred the first one myself. Batman Begins was still my favorite of the two. But they're both really high-caliber films. So now he's making this third one. I'm going to tell you, though, I'm worried about it. Okay? And I'll say this because I always get concerned when I start to hear how many people and possible subplots are being crammed into a big movie. Okay.
Whole Spider-Man 3 problem.
Yeah, and just, things that anytime you get like in trilogies or second or third movies and you start putting more characters, more subplots, more bad guys, whatever, it gets overblown. It's way too much.
Gotcha.
So here's my concern. You still got the original guys. You've got the Michael Caine. You've, of course, got
Gary Oldman.
And I'm drawing a blank. Who plays Batman? Christian Bale.
Christian Bale.
Sorry. Wow. Just lost that.
Well, if he hasn't been fired for yelling at people.
Right. Christian Bale, Michael Caine, Gary Oldman. Gosh, who's the Penguin documentary narrator, Shawshank Redemption.
Morgan Freeman.
Isn't that sad? That's how I know him by.
I like the fact that you first said the Penguin documentary narrator.
That's how Morgan Freeman. Right.
That's awesome.
So you got these guys. They're all in it. Okay. Then you add Anne Hathaway, Jordan Gordon-Levitt, Tom Hardy.
Joseph,
sorry. Yeah. Marion Cotillard. All right. Which basically those last three were all from Inception. So he just basically brought them all over and said, here you go. But you're dropping all of these people in there. Okay. These are all big name actors. I can't imagine he's going to give them a small throwaway part. Is there any concern that this is maybe getting a little too much, a little too bloated? There's rumors that the guy, Aaron Eckhart, even though he supposedly died at the end of the second film, there's a chance.
Spoiler.
Sorry about that. There's a rumor that he's actually still in the third one.
Really?
There's a rumor that Liam Neeson, who was in the first one and we think also died in the first one, is also back in the third one.
Well, that would be okay.
Yeah?
Well, this is the comic book nerd coming out, but
nerd alert.
Yes.
So go ahead and
but
be prepared.
The character that he played in the first movie, which I can't remember his name right now, I'm drawing a blank. Yeah, there you go.
I'm good.
I'm not the only nerd.
It's okay. Yeah.
His whole thing is he has a Lazarus chamber that he can resurrect and everything.
Yeah.
So, granted, I don't think Nolan would go there because his whole thing has been realism and he's trying to not make this. He's trying to make a realistic superhero movie. So he doesn't want to do superpowers and all this crazy stuff. So I don't know if he would go the Lazarus chamber route. But Ra's al Ghul coming back, that'd be okay. But
I just get concerned about the sheer number of people I'm hearing in this production. Anytime I start to hear way too many people and possibly way too many characters, Anne Hathaway's supposed to be Catwoman. Okay. Tom Hardy's supposed to be a character Bane.
Okay.
Yeah, which if you remember, in the really crappy Batman and Robin movie a few years ago?
I think that might have been, that was Venom who helped out Poison Ivy and not
Now
Bane.
you're thinking Spider-Man now. Spider-Man's Venom.
No. Okay.
No, it's Bane. Bane is the guy's name. But Venom is the stuff that he's got pipes into
him.
Yeah.
Wow.
You said you're a comic book.
No. Okay. When the first movie had come out, I hadn't read the whole Bane stuff, but I have now. So now I know. But I didn't realize that was who was supposed to be the Poison Ivy. Wow. They did that very poorly.
Yes, they did. So
I hated the movie anyway. Tried to block it out.
Man, we have gotten way down the nerd path here, but that's
Batman
okay.
was on a surfboard in that movie.
Yes, he was, and had ice skates popping out of his boots. Anyway, Dark Knight Rises coming out next year. I'm on record saying, hey, I'd love for it to be just as good as the first two, but I'm just concerned about overkill right now. So, in a way, Christopher Nolan, he's batting 1,000 on all of his films so far.
It's going to be hard not for him to let people down, I think, after the hype and everything.
That's right. I think after the first two, it's going to be an automatic. There's going to be people complaining about it no matter what. But I'm very curious to see where it goes.
I think I will like it. but I don't think it'll probably be like, the best film ever. I walked out of Inception and was just like floored. But he does handle big casts well.
He does.
Because he did in Inception. I mean, he had a lot of the same people.
The difference with Inception, though, is you went in with no understanding of what that movie was going to be about.
True.
And it just kind of took you for a ride. True. This one, people are going in with some real high expectations. So be very curious to see.
We'll get back to your show in a moment. Just a reminder, you're listening to The Mesh, an online media network of shows and programs ranging from business to arts, sports to entertainment, music to community. All programs are available on the website as well as through iTunes and YouTube. Find out more at themesh.tv and give us feedback on what you like. And now, as promised, back to your show.
Let's kind of jump into our recommendations here. And this is the part of the show where we like to each give at least one recommendation of a film that either we've seen recently or just been reminded of recently that we want to share with you guys and encourage you to check out if you get a chance. So, Chris, do you want to go first?
Sure.
All right. What you got for us?
I have the film Rubber.
Everybody, this is what our killer looks like.
Tire.
What brand of tire?
Probably brandless. Yes.
Is it black?
Imagine, if you will, a whole movie framed around a killer tire. And
You said tire.
oh yeah,
Like car
as in
tire.
Mr. Goodyear. Yeah.
Okay.
This movie, it's not for everyone. If you're not really into movies, definitely don't watch this movie.
Okay.
But you probably wouldn't be listening to the podcast if you weren't really into movies. But yeah, it's a movie lover's movie, but it's also, you got to have a little bit of David Lynch love in there because it is kind of strange and bizarre, and it also breaks the fourth wall. By that I mean characters direct their lines directly towards the camera and talk to the audience as if you could talk
so
back.
it's basically saying, we understand we're in a movie and you're an audience and
Yes.
we're talking to you.
Yes.
Right.
And I was along for that ride. If you don't like that kind of commentary and kind of inside baseball with movies, and then don't see it. But I loved it. And I knew,
Really?
And I knew going in that it's kind of a B horror movie. That's the framework they use. It's kind of mocking that, B horror movie.
I'm sorry. It's a B movie, horror movie about a killer tire.
Yes.
Okay, I just want to make sure that's clear. Make sure I didn't misunderstand you on anything.
And I don't want to say a whole lot more about it, but because you just have to kind of go into it with that mindset. But I will say that one of the structures of the movie is that there are people watching the movie as it happens with binoculars, and they're as if they're the audience on screen watching this movie being shot. And so there's like several levels that you can think about this movie. So I loved it. And, even if the movie gets a little old to you, it's only 85 minutes or so. So it's not like it's 2 hours of, somebody trying to be all pompous and like teach you lessons and try to make you think. No, it's like 80 minutes. So I thought it was pretty good. And, for it to be a horror movie, it's not overly violent, really, and it's kind of comic book violence, the stuff that's in it, and it's not gory or anything like that, which you would expect. Like a B movie, a lot of times they go for the gore because they don't have any story. So,
Well, I mean, when I think of a killer tire killing people movie, I expect a lot of gore. So you're saying that's not there?
No, I mean there is blood and stuff, but it's not. I think it's toned down.
It's a tire.
Yeah, it is a tire,
Like off of a car or a truck or something.
Yes.
Going around killing people.
Yes, it has it's like ESP type thing.
It's got a power too.
Yes,
Okay,
that's how it kills people.
that makes more sense
So it doesn't
then.
have hands or anything. It looks just like a tire. Mm-hmm. So yes, I believe the tire's name is Robert. I think.
Oh, and it has a name.
I believe so.
Wow, this
but
gets
it's never
better.
explained. I think that's just how they refer to it.
Robert the Killer Tire with ESP.
Yes.
All right,
It's
hear
awesome.
it right here from Chris Frye. Check it out. Is it on Netflix?
Yeah, they had it on Netflix, but you had to get the DVD. But now it is streaming as well.
Streaming. So I could be checking that out tonight then.
You could be.
We meant to do a follow-up on our next episode. How did Alan respond to Was it Steve? What was the name of the tire? Robert, the Killer Tire.
The Killer Tire
movie. Okay, Rubber. There you go. Yeah, mine's about the same. This is my recommendation is a film called The Concert. It's about the same as the one you just described, except there's no tires, nobody dies, and nobody has ESP.
Андрей Семенович Филиппов, вы уборщик. Я запретил вам присутствовать на репетициях оркестра.
Ты хочешь подменить оркестр Большого театра? Мы поедем вместо них.
This is a film that we actually showed in partnership with the Hickory International Council just a couple weeks ago, and the film's called The Concert. It's got a lot of foreign names that I'm actually absolutely horrible in saying, so I'm going to kind of butcher those right now. But it is a Russian film that also takes place partly in France as well, so a combination Russian-French film.
Gotcha.
Directed by Radu Mihalinu. Whoa, that
Sounds
was
good.
bad. Please correct me on that, anybody out there, on how bad I butchered that. The only star that you would recognize is Melanie Laurent, who was from Inglourious Basterds. Yes, she played the young girl that grew up and did not die with the rest of her family, and went on to buy the movie theater and extract her revenge on the Nazi Party.
Gotcha.
In this film, she's a very widely known celebrity violin player.
Okay.
And the idea behind the film is you follow a conductor who is no longer a conductor. He was removed from that role because he actually employed Jewish musicians in his orchestra. Okay. And this was at a time where that was forbidden, so he was stripped of his title as conductor. And now we're looking at him maybe 15, 20 years later. He's a janitor at the same orchestra house that he used to perform in. And it's a little sitcom-y in that it takes the idea that he happens to just intercept a fax meant for the director of the symphony to invite that orchestra to come play in France for a big performance. He intercepts it. He gets the wild idea that he can actually reassemble his old orchestra and go and actually fake that they're that symphony and go perform and get his moment of glory again and all that. On the surface, that sounds very comical, and it is. It's a very funny movie. But it does take its own, like I said, a kind of a sitcom route at times where it's very funny situations and a lot of chance situations that seem a little ridiculous at times. However, I'll tell you, by the end of this film, there is a lot of heart going on in this film. The last 15 minutes are nothing but them actually playing the concerto that they were hired to play, and the performers coming together, and it just this magical moment. There's a connection with the young woman that Melanie Laurent plays that I won't go into and spoil, but you find out that there's a connection between them all that she wasn't even aware of. Okay. And it just, the last performance, when we showed this at the Film Society a few weeks ago, we actually had a rupture of applause after the performance was done at the end. Okay. So it was a great film, really, really good film. Yes, there's subtitles. I know there's some of our listeners who are not that crazy about subtitles. A lot of reading, yes, but the music itself will carry this film. I think it was beautiful. It got a little dusty in the theater for a few people towards the end. Great film. I was really, really impressed with it. It is on Netflix, not on streaming. You got to get the DVD or go out and rent it somewhere. But try to hunt this one down. This is a good film. I really, really enjoyed it.
So sounds like at the end there was a lot of emotional payoff. So do you feel like it earned?
Yeah, yes, absolutely. Okay. I feel like it. Because during the course of the film, and there again, I'm not going to spoil anything, but they lead you to believe that certain revelations are going to be made. Okay. And if those revelations did come out to be true, it'd be a little cliche. Okay. But they actually turn it a little bit, and actually you find out it's not what you really thought it was. And the connection is was very authentic to me. The revelations, the emotional payoff at the end, I think they earned it. I really do. So interesting. I thought it was a great film. I know our mesh producer was a little on it, Mary Margaret, and did not care for it as much, but that's okay. I think I'm here to say, because she's not hosting this show, I'm going to say recommend it, go out and see it, you'll enjoy it. Okay. So great. So I think we got our two recommendations, two completely opposite choices, which is always fun. Sounds like it. We both agreed on our film, Everything Must Go, although we're not giving it a solid recommendation. We're saying it's worth checking out, especially if you're a fan of Will Farrell as an actor, maybe not necessarily as a comedian. And with that, and we covered some mainstream news just to kind of appease that side of our film-going brains as well. So with that, I guess we can talk about our movie for next month, right?
Yeah.
We are bringing to the Footcandle Film Society next month, August 11th. We'll be bringing the film The Tree of Life by Terrence Malick. So that film will be shown on Thursday, August 11th, and then the following week, we'll actually have a new episode up of this podcast where we'll be discussing that film, as well as some more movie news and also our recommendations for the month. So with that, Chris, we did our second one. Do we get a prize for 2 episodes, or is it?
Sure.
Yeah.
We get to have a weekend?
Yeah, we get to have a weekend. Perfect. That sounds good. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. We always encourage any feedback, ideas, suggestions you may have for us. You can send an email to us at info@themesh.tv, or you can send it to info@footcandle.org. The Mesh website, where this is the whole network that we're a part of, is themesh.tv. But you can also visit our Film Society website at www.footcandle.org. Either way, let us know what you like or don't like about the show, suggestions, ideas, or even questions that we can help answer on future episodes. We'd be happy to do that. So with all that being said, I'm Alan Jackson.
I'm Chris Frye.
We're signing off for episode number 2. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next month.
Watch films in the company of like-minded people in the dark. Watch films in the underground. We won't let anyone know where you are. The films that don't make it to Carmike at the mall, or ones that were famous when Grandpa would watch films out of the reverence of the heritage of an art. Watch films through the courtesy of Footcandle Film Society.
You've been listening to The Mesh, an online media network of shows and programs ranging from business to arts, sports to entertainment, music to community. All programs are available on the website as well as through iTunes and YouTube. Check us out online at themesh.tv. Discover other network shows and give us feedback on what you just heard.